It's hard to say, huh?
You all can hear me now, right? All right. We had a little bit of issue.
Did y'all hear any of that?
well, hey, let's do it again. Right? This is the Absolute Truth Radio Show, and I'm Donnell Scott, your host, and this is my co-host Pamela Dembo, media extraordinaire, specialist as well, media specialist extraordinaire. And tonight we're going to come to you all with two great topics that we want to discuss and talk about. One is Joaquin Guzman.
I just call him El Chapo.
El Chapo, okay, for sure.
Joaquin Guzman, but Joaquin it's easy for me to say, not you.
Oh, well, maybe because you may be Spanish. Well,
hey.
And the next one we're going to talk about is the influenza situation with the young gentleman who was actually arrested some years ago and got out on probation, and his mom tried to escape with him because he felt like, he should not have been put back in jail because he might have violated his probation. But, what do you want to say this evening to our guests?
Well, first of all, welcome. And, I'm excited about those topics that we're going to talk about. But I don't know that any of you all watched the Golden Globes last night. Hey, we got to throw some entertainment in.
Yeah, we have to.
So I want to talk about some movies that I think you all should go see.
What kind of good movies would you say that they should be taking a look at right now?
You mean the names of them?
Yeah, a couple of names. I'll just throw out a few.
The Revenant. The Martian.
Okay, The Martian.
And the one that you are opposed to watching.
And that would be?
Inside Out.
That's a cartoon, right?
It's an animation for adults and children. Why are you so opposed?
Why we have enough cartoons on as it is. Why do we?
You don't understand what they have done with animation since you were watching Bugs Bunny when you were growing up. Is that what was out?
No, Popeye.
Oh dear, that's even we are very advanced now.
Are we?
Yeah, we're very advanced. There are themes for adults and children in these movies. Like The Lion. Did you watch The Lion King?
I'm more of a Marvel kind of guy, so I like my movies to be somewhat on that genre, science fiction type genre, not cartoons. My kids watch cartoons.
And on that note,
we'll be right back. For joining us again on The Absolute Truth. And again, we had a couple of technical difficulties when we started out, but hey, we're here right now. And again, some of the things that we talked about a few minutes ago, the one first topic being El Chapo, who was captured recently, by the Mexican Marines. Actually, at first I thought it was going to be some of the DEA agents from here in the States, but after that great escape that he made from the prison,
the second great escape.
Well, it was to get out of that jail. It's not that difficult. I've been in that area, not in jail.
I was like, did you hear that? I've been in that.
No, I've been to Juarez area. I've been to Juarez, Mexico, so I know. I used to live in New Mexico, so I know kind of that region a little bit. You don't want to go there, but as far as him being captured, how much do you know about Mr. Joaquin El Chapo, or short for Shorty?
Shorty.
You should know about that.
Yes. Don't call me. Don't.
I can't call you Miss Chapo.
No. I was like, oh, you got a kick out of that. No, you cannot.
Okay.
You know what? We'll discuss on the break.
All right,
We'll,
Ms. Chapo.
we might be able to work something out. Well, I didn't know anything about El Chapo before. Hey, what you call the Great Escape 2. And what I learned, which was number one, this was not his first time escaping.
Right.
Number two, that he's a billionaire and he's like the number one like drug lord, like
Yes.
kingpin in the world.
Of course.
Yeah, like he's running things.
I mean, he's a massive fortune of over $1 billion.
Yeah.
You know, we got a call already.
Somebody
One
calling in
second.
already? Okay, well, let's see.
Go ahead, caller. How are you doing today? This is the Absolute Truth Radio Show.
Hello?
Go ahead, caller.
Yeah, this is from Southwest Atlanta. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. How you doing today?
Yeah, I just want to say, hey, I hope y'all bring in some outstanding topics, and I want to say, I'm here at the sports bar. You know, I'm a big football fan, so I'm going to go with Clemson tonight. That's a Democratic type team, and Hillary Clinton still my number one candidate, even though she in problems.
Wait,
Outstanding show this evening.
well, thank you so much, Rufus. You have a good night out there watching that football game. Make sure you get home safe now. Don't drink and drive. You know, you might spill it.
Oh, no, I'm not going to drink. Remember, I'm in a Republican state. You know what I'm saying?
All right. Well, you know.
Thank you.
All right. You have a good
God
night.
bless.
All right. Thank you, Rufus.
Bye. Oh, well, that's so glad that Rufus is checking in with
Rufus,
us.
right, one of our favorite callers.
Yeah, I know. He won't call in because basically he's saying, I'm watching the game.
Well,
not
you know what?
all.
Right, and the game is on tonight. Of course, for those who may be getting ready to watch it, you have the Clemson Tigers versus the Alabama Tide, Crimson Tide. So,
Who do you want to win?
me preferably, I'm an SEC kind of guy. Georgia didn't make it, so I have to go with Alabama tonight. How about yourself?
Yeah.
You're not a football kind of person either.
I mean, I do, but I don't care about any team. But so I know tons of people that love Roll Tide. So I mean, yeah, I guess it would be not. I don't know.
Well,
Like I don't have any real reason.
if I was a betting man, I'd
Well,
put
my
money on
family's
Tide.
from Alabama.
Okay, that's
I
good.
went to a school in Alabama,
Well, then you should be for Alabama. The Crimson
but
Tide.
I did
Why
not go to Alabama.
That's okay. I didn't go to Alabama either, but I'm a root for them tonight. So, but I mean,
But Clemson is awesome too.
yeah, but Clemson's an ACC school, so I mean,
I don't really know the
it's
difference. I mean,
well, you got
besides the letters.
Not many women know a lot about football.
Oh,
No wonder.
stop it. I know a lot about football,
Okay.
but it's just that over time, I used
What does this
to
mean?
when I was in college.
See,
It
exactly.
means
That doesn't mean my neck is hurting. No,
Yeah,
not
that's what it means. It's like your neck
outside.
is hurting.
No, outside.
Well, maybe not the way you do it.
What
but
does this
I,
mean?
But I know what it holding.
Oh.
Don't even like I know. I know some things. I know some things. I
Okay.
just don't watch it anymore.
Okay.
It was actually kind of I had to get into it because like the guy when I was in college, guys watched. So if I wanted to hang out with the guys, I had to get into the football. But the thing about it is when I really put my mind to something, so I started watching it and I got into it, and then I didn't want to hang out with them. I really wanted to watch the game, and then I was just hardcore, and then I interest just kind of waned as I got older. It never wanes with you all.
No, of course not. Not as men. I mean, of course, we're gonna always watch football, basketball, baseball. I don't know about hockey. Don't know about soccer. No, don't write me any letters.
Yay, soccer!
Yeah, right.
You didn't
not
go watch
football.
when the World Cup was
Are you
last
serious?
year?
Serious?
Oh,
That's
it
not
was
football.
so football.
No, I mean,
It was great.
10 guys running around the field, kicking the ball back and forth. I mean, really? Seriously? No pain, no gain. So, hey, going back to El Chapo, again, he was a...
We were so sorry.
Well, it's okay. At the end of the day,
Yes.
he is worth a lot of money. But, one thing about El Chapo, I don't know if you knew this, but, he has a lot of kids. There's like 11.
Well, I'm not surprised.
11 kids, so I can see why he's selling
By
so many
what?
drugs.
By his. Oh God.
He
He
had
needs
11
the money.
kids.
Well, here's something very
what?
interesting, and I asked you about this earlier.
Okay.
So, and this might be jumping the gun a bit.
Okay.
Talking about Sean Penn.
Oh.
And how Sean Penn, is a part of this whole thing, and we can get into that in a
Right.
minute. But in this interview, he was saying how when he was growing up, like there was nothing for
Him to do?
him to do. Like how did he get into this? And that's what Sean Penn asked him. Like, how did you decide to become
A drug lord.
A drug lord,
But not a doctor.
basically.
Okay.
And he said, when I was growing up, and he went to, and I would recommend that everybody just read it. It's really compelling, and it's long, so you're gonna take some time, and it's a lot of words. So if you don't really like to read, you might be in trouble. It's not on video.
Right. No pictures.
Yeah, no pictures. No, well, there are actually 2 pictures.
Oh, okay.
But that's not going to get you through the whole article. But he said, he's describing, his neighborhood where he's from, and basically he said there's no opportunity, and that, no other opportunity, and that's what you have to do to make it. Yeah. But I wonder who, like when he was younger, like who was the main person, because he just like.
Well, no, his father actually was into the drugs at that time as well.
Oh, wow. Okay.
What happened was that he would, where he lived about 60 miles actually from schools. So he actually would have to have teachers and some and people come to his home, to try and do schooling. He actually dropped out of school. His dad, then he, at the age of around about maybe 8 or 9 years old, he and a friend of his would actually go up into the mountains and chop off the top of the poppy seeds, flour, to make, I think that's heroin, I think comes out of that, if I'm not mistaken, bring that back, and his father would sell that, and that's how he got started. But what would happen is that when his dad was making the money, his dad would actually start taking the money and spend it on women, alcohol, and he would get upset. And what he did was, at 15 years old, he went out and harvested his own marijuana field. And that's how he got started. So he was just selling marijuana.
Excellent business mind. Too bad that you're not using it for good.
But come on. What do you mean for good? Here's a father teaching his son how to, to sell drugs, rather than saying, hey, you know what? Maybe there's a better opportunity for you. Even if it's not one here, then maybe you need to go somewhere else.
Well, maybe they didn't, and it's easy to say, but they might not have had the means to do that.
Well, how can you say it's not easy to say? They were selling drugs. It was still.
I'm saying it's not easy to say because you weren't there and you weren't living in those conditions. No, and I don't know anything about that.
Well, if that was the case, then why is everybody not coming out of that country a drug dealer?
Because they're working for him. They're not a drug dealer, but you and we can talk about that. Just how even in his escapes and everything, he's pocketing a lot of people.
He's helping a lot of
definitely, people, right? All the corruption going on in the Mexican government. Like he's definitely funding a lot of that. He has people in high places who was helping him dig the tunnel.
Well, again, people on that side with him, but it's as well. There can't be any. There wouldn't necessarily be as much of that needed to be done if there was not such a demand. It's such a demand for it, so.
A demand for what?
Drugs.
Oh, okay.
Drugs, right. Yes, the thing that they're harvesting.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. What are we talking about? Yes, the drugs.
No, not apples, drugs, right.
Yes.
So because it's such a demand for, yes, like you said, he is helping people, if you want to say helping people, giving jobs, to people who are helping produce drugs, get drugs in this country, and of course we know what it's doing to our country as well. And actually, these drugs come over here, they go back over into their country. But what kind of growth do you even see? In Mexico, in this area. Of course, Juarez, Mexico is one of the most vicious areas in Mexico to even live in. And if you're there, if you're not doing drugs, either you're dying or doing drugs or trying to escape Juarez to go somewhere else. And as you just mentioned, yes, maybe he didn't have a lot of opportunities, but I still don't think that that's an escape.
An excuse?
An excuse and an escape. Well, we already know he's a good escape artist, but it's not a good excuse, because again, how many people grow up in bad conditions but still make something out of their lives and they're not drug dealers?
And that is true. In this interview, I'm just telling you what the man said.
Okay.
And El Chapo said, I didn't have any other choice.
Well, let me.
And he still says I don't have a choice.
Well, he said he was always defending himself, but I do know and do realize and remember this as well.
Even with the violence, he said.
Right,
like,
with
they
violence.
were like, why are you out? Because he would go, and if the deliveries weren't right, he'd shoot them in the head.
Right.
Yeah, and he's like, I would only defend myself.
From shooting somebody who was late.
Right.
So if you were late, you was late to work.
I was defending my money.
You're gone. Right.
Yeah.
But going back to your comment about Sean Penn, my issue and concern is, why did he involve himself in this? And also, would he not be a contributor to harboring, and aiding and abetting? When he knew what he was, but yet and still he didn't make that information known. And then Rolling Stone, who was the magazine who basically set up the interview or allowed for them to do this. What position do they take, and how much of a are they in cahoots with El Chapo?
So there was the actress really that led Sean Penn, and let me just put out there, the authorities are going to question her.
Well, they're trying to question Sean Penn too, right?
I'm sure they will. I haven't seen that, but I know the actress that they are definitely. She's a famous soap opera actress in Mexico, and she actually was in a few movies over here and a couple of TV shows. She was in
drug
Weeds.
movies. Weeds,
yeah,
of course.
Yeah, she played a drug lord.
Right.
She really did,
right.
Which I'm like the irony.
No, that's no irony. That's the absolute truth. That's why she with El Chapo.
She's not with him. She's not with him.
What is she?
She's not with him.
What is she?
She's just in communication with him.
with the biggest drug lord in the world?
Yes, so she, put out something that said, it was a tweet, I think it was back in 2012, and it was a tweet, and she basically said that, at least she knows who El Chapo is. Like, El Chapo's not lying. We know who he is, we know what he does, but the government is, they're more of a liar, and so she has more respect for El Chapo than she does the government. So of course people were, what are you talking about? Like, they didn't understand, and so she had to come back, and she was like, it was more of a criticism of the Mexican government than it was a compliment to El Chapo. And this is in Sean Penn's interview, where he says that El Chapo caught wind of what she said. This is back in 2012. Caught wind of it and wanted to send her flowers. They never made it to her. Just thanking her for the endorsement.
Sticking up for him.
And she was like, "It's not an endorsement." And so then she did come back and say, why don't you traffic love? Go into, because he did both. A lot of times we get a little.
Well, he was
giving money to.
That was a lot of love. He's spreading love that way, right?
Illegal things, but then he was also giving money to organizations that were helping move food and things like that, feeding people. So the people, even in the town where he was captured, like his hometown, they, he's like kind of beloved.
I mean, like Robin Hood.
Basically, that's kind of what they called him, and they were beloved. They were like, yeah, you're a drug dealer, but you're giving, you're helping sustain us, and you're helping to, feed us. So it's kind of, a double-edged sword.
Right, and you're absolutely correct. A double-edged sword. I mean, you're taking care of people over here, but you're damaging people on
the
this
other side.
Right.
And he doesn't really be, he was.
He doesn't realize that.
No, he realizes it.
He doesn't. Of course, he doesn't care. He shoots people when they're late for work.
Yeah, exactly. So he doesn't care, and he's like, look, I'm not. He goes, there's drugs all over the world. When I'm not doing this anymore, there'll be drugs all over the world. And I was like, but you basically put them there.
Sure.
Was what
Well, I'm just trying to figure out how Rolling Stone, the magazine, how they get so involved. Now I would think to myself, well, what if this had been someone of another persuasion, another color? Would we having the same conversation?
I don't understand what you mean.
Well, what I mean by that is this. Okay, we have big drug lords here in the States, and when they go hiding, can they get interviews, set up by major magazines for a story, and for a movie, or do we run in there with all of the SWAT teams and the DEA and the drug?
I'm sure with Rolling Stone, it was done on the deal. Not everybody at the Rolling Stone knew. Maybe one or two people didn't. They went in because I'm sure, because a lot of times if you have a story, you're like, hey, I met this actress. Right. She knows I can get you this exclusive interview and whatever. Just let me do it. And one or two people were probably like, okay, go ahead. We're keeping it under wraps. And then when you get it, because he was there and he was like, I need proof. Let's take a picture. When he was there talking to him, like, let's take a picture. So they'll know that I actually met you and this was actually a real interview and things like that. So it's not like a major wide thing, and it comes back as an exclusive is what it comes back as. So yeah, but that is interesting.
But I know, but it doesn't, to me, at the end of the day, it still doesn't make it right. Because
well, no, I didn't say it was right.
Okay.
I just said that's the way the media works. That's the point I was making.
And we always have issues about the media as we know.
We do have issues with the media. But I'm so sorry.
With that being said, like again, we got Sean Penn who's out there, which I think he pretty much jeopardized his life. Putting himself in harm's way.
Read this article, because he mentions that he's like, he's sitting there, he's nervous when he's talking to him, he's looking up, like, because they're having drinks and things like that and eating, he's looking up to see if there are drones around and looking for places like for cover. It's straight out of a movie, looking to see if him and he might take the actress.
Okay, well, here's my deal. Why put yourself in that kind of danger? I mean, it's got to be self-serving for you. Why would you do that?
Because you want to get the story.
I mean, you already
you
had
want to
some.
get the story,
Well,
and I think only someone who, and I understand.
I mean, but he's not a
because
reporter.
someone with a journalist
He's not a
background.
reporter.
But he, he is. He does. I mean, that's not what he does. But he does. He's written for Rolling Stone
Right,
before.
for
he
right.
does that.
Little small pieces.
Yeah,
for
yeah,
that.
things like that. So he's worked with him. So on the side, that's what he does. So he probably thinks of himself as an actor and some
Slash.
kind of exactly slash journalist. It's not like this is the first thing.
Who got killed by a drone.
This was an idea. He just decided to go
Right.
do it.
Uh-huh.
He's done these not to this level, but this before. And of course, as a Rolling Stone, I mean, if I was running Rolling Stone, oh yeah, go ahead. Yeah, definitely bring the story.
Go ahead, kill yourself, and that'd be 2 stories for us at one time.
There's some danger. Like I think when we're in war and we're sending in reporters that are embedded in like war zones, or when we're covering things internationally, you would know. And the leads were like, you are like, are you okay with going? You make sure that they know what the risks are.
That they're willing to die.
And that's what you like.
Right.
There is a risk when you do this. So the second time, because they met and did the interview, and then there was supposed to be another time that they were going to meet 8 days later.
Right.
That never happened. But they were going to meet 8 days later, and it never happened. But the actress was like, you shouldn't go over, you shouldn't do this, like because of what he would have to go through to get over there. And then the U.S., he found it because he has connections. He said this as well. He has connections in the U.S. government. So he was getting information from DEA and like all these other sources. So he knew, which is interesting with what you're saying. He was getting, information that, hey, we know he's in this area now,
Right.
or we're at this ranch where he was, and we're about to go and look in this area.
Well, let me ask you something. Do you think he should be, or Sean Penn, or the actress, I can't remember her name right now.
Da Silva,
something.
Kate
El
Del Castillo.
Creepo, right? Kate Creepo, right? Creepo. I mean, come on. I mean, you're siding with
all, don't
you're siding
call
with
her
El
name.
Chapo. You were in drug
She's not
movies.
siding with him.
I mean, she set up the interview. She didn't tell people where he was.
No,
and they were looking for him.
Yes.
So what? So that's siding with. That's aiding and abetting. I mean,
Okay, now
hello?
that's aiding and
Right.
abetting, but she didn't say what he did was okay.
I know, but they were looking for him to arrest him again. She knew what he was. I guarantee you, she's gonna face some kind of penalties for aiding and abetting.
Okay,
but
well, we'll see.
I'm just saying.
I'm sure.
Right.
I'm not arguing with you on that.
Good, El Creepo, because she could have told people exactly where he was. But you know what? We're gonna take a quick break. We're gonna come back and we're gonna wrap up this session on El Chapo, Ms. Creepo, and Sean Penn in a few seconds. Thank you all. We'll be right back. Thank you all for joining us again here on The Absolute Truth. We want you all to also to call in this evening, give us your thoughts on El Chapo. And
I'm always doing stuff over here on the side.
The number is 404-878-0040. That's 404-878-0040. Want you all to call in and let us hear what you're thinking and what concerns you might have. I know we were talking about El Chapo, but one thing we didn't mention is what kind of impact do you think this is going to have, on the drug culture here and what's taking place in Mexico right now? You think it's going to limit the flow of drug trafficking here in the States?
Oh no, not at all. I feel that they already have a successor.
Already?
Yeah, like because and we'll get into this because they're talking about extradition, like
right.
here to the U.S. and that means any kind of running of his cartel or his business or his whatever you want to call it.
We call it a business now, right?
His business, his illegal business.
Right, thank you.
Will cease in Mexico. They have several drug lords that. They're running their business out of the jail, and here that you're just not going to do that.
Well,
so,
I will say
I think
this.
they have a successor.
Well, and you're probably correct. I'm sure you are as far as having a successor, because he is so large. I'm sure there are different levels of generals, if you want to call them that, within his organization. And I'm pretty sure he already has them in place. He knew this day was coming again. Can he run his drug operation from the States when he is extradited here, depending on where he is? From what I've understood, they thought about putting him in Supermax, which is up in
Florence,
Colorado. Right. The
23 hours of lockup.
Can you imagine that?
Oh my gosh. No.
What would you do for 23 hours by yourself?
Just, I don't know.
You read that article that you were talking about.
I wouldn't have any electronics. They don't give you anything like that, right?
They do.
You're just,
no, they give
you books.
No, you get books, but you also have a television. It's on there, black and white television. You get a radio.
I get all channels?
No, you only get religious channels. You get some, I think some self-help channels.
Can I watch King of Queens?
No King of Queens, and definitely no In and Out cartoons. Hello, so it's a religious program and a couple other programs. But what happens is, even though you get 23 hours there, after a year, they actually allow you to have more hours. But of course, it is the
more time to dig another tunnel.
Well, no, you're not going to be digging tunnels out of Supermax. It is the most secure facility in the United States. I have been in the federal penitentiary, not because. Let me make this straight.
I was like, tell them why you were in there. What did you do?
No, at one point in time, I actually taught inside of the prisons here in Georgia, in the federal penitentiary as well. And of course, there's a much different apparatus inside the federal penitentiary than what you have on the state level. Even the doors themselves are a lot bigger, a lot larger, than on the state side. But when you're in the federal penitentiary now, of course, this being Supermax, they have the prison and then they have a prison camp. So in the prison itself, there are only about 400 inmates, and then the rest of them are in the camp. So the camp is a little bit leisurely than the population that's held over in confined solitary, if I want to say that. And some of the people that we know that are in Supermax now is like Ted Kaczynski, which was a Unabomber. You had Timothy McVeigh, who was there, but he was executed in 1997. You have
Jeffrey Dahmer.
Well, Jeffrey Dahmer is dead.
I know, but was he there?
He didn't make it to Supermax. He was killed.
Oh, he didn't make it.
No, he was killed for
his crime was. Oh, he was killed before he got there. Okay, I was like, his crime.
No, you
was
have what's the other?
I wonder if you as a criminal.
Okay.
I wonder if you're like, okay, how do I get to Supermax? Because if that's where the worst of the worst of
in
the
order
worst
for,
are.
Right. Well, in order for you to get to Supermax, you have to be a very high risk, inmate, which means you have had to kill inmates while you've been in. You've had to kill officers while you've been in there, and then you have to be usually like a terrorist or on that side, of the law.
Okay.
Right. So if you follow those criteria, that's going to guarantee you got to be again a high risk escape artist as well. So
I think I told you I would love to see when they allow them that 1 hour to come out, they're all in a room together. What are you all talking about?
Well, they don't let them come out in that 1 hour.
They don't. See, no, I don't know these things. They come out one at a time.
They
have an hour.
They have an hour out. But one thing about Supermax is this: that when you come out, you never know where you are.
Oh gosh! See, I'm all scared. I'm thinking.
Hold on 1 second. We have a call.
I thought I was in jail. Oh gosh.
Thank you, caller, for calling the absolute truth. For you scared my co-host. But go ahead with your question. Go ahead, caller. You lost that call.
See, somebody calling from Supermax.
Well, you trying to call us back again? But you all scared. You
totally scared me. Did you all see me?
We're just talking about prisons.
I thought we were talking about prisons in my mind. I was totally engrossed in what we were saying, physically there in my mind and body. And then the phone rang, and I'm like, it's like you were telling me a scary story, like a ghost story when you're younger, and then somebody opens, your parent comes in the door, and you're like,
But what I was saying is that when you go out, you go out for that hour. You know,
and you don't know where you are. That's what
right,
you were saying.
right. You're actually because the way the prison is set up, the way it's built, when you step out of your cell, you don't know north, south, east, or west.
Okay.
And then the windows in the prisons, they only allow you to look up at the sky.
Gotcha.
So you can't really tell. So if you were even to tell someone to come and break me out, you don't even know where you are.
Tell them where you are.
Right. So I mean, it's a very difficult prison for inmates to escape from. I mean, again, it's the most highly secured prison that we have in the United States penal system. You know, here. So if he's extradited to Supermax, he will not see the light of day.
Who lives in Florence?
Just the people who work there.
Okay, because I was wondering. I was like, is there a house like 2 miles down from?
Well, when they,
I'm like, how much is that house? Like, you could probably get that for a steal.
Well, the reason why they built the prison there was because, and it was voted on so widely by the town and the city, was the fact that it brought a lot of jobs to the city. It's like maybe I think 500 or 600 people who work in a prison, and then there's another 1,000 people who are. You don't want to work in a prison? Why? You don't think you can?
I just have no desire.
Well, just imagine going to a store.
I could do videos. I could do videos. Like everyone can tell their story. Because oh yeah, I'm sure there are tons of stories. I can interview people and they can tell me their story.
But you got to go in there with them.
Oh yeah, that's okay.
Then why are you not going to be afraid to go in there if you?
Oh, because I'm going to bring somebody with a gun with me.
No. You don't take guns in there. No. You don't take guns in the
What do
prisons.
What do the okay?
What do the officers have?
We'll do that on the sidebar.
I tell you, what do the officers have?
Yeah,
they have a walkie-talkie. Yeah, and not sticks.
Help! They are attacking the interviewee.
Yeah, and then what they do?
Okay, that's not good.
No, why? What you mean? It's too late.
Never mind. I don't want to do videos. That's okay.
I mean, but seriously, what you have is you have a walkie-talkie that has a panic button on it. And they tell you, push that button if anything happens. And when you press that button, they're coming. It may be 20 or 30 of them now. What you got to do...
I thought you said 20, 30 minutes. I was like,
no,
I'll be dead.
No, 20 or 30 of them. By the time they get there, you better hope that you have held off those prisoners long enough till they get there.
Okay, no. Okay.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute, Sean Penn. Sean Penn.
I'm not. Look.
Sean Penn was out there.
That's what Sean Penn wanted to do.
But you're a media specialist. You're supposed to go where the story is.
Which is what, and I will go where the story is that I want to tell.
But remember, you said a minute ago.
But I would. El Chapo, I probably would have done that.
I know, but remember this. You just said a minute ago. You gotta understand the danger in the situation that you're in. That is true. So if you go into Supermax, I went in prisons for 17 years. All right, it's about 17 years. This I knew is that I could go in and I might not come out. I always knew that. I always remember that. I might go in, but I might not come out. And again, I did it because I was trying to help. And I think I helped some people while I was there.
I'm sure you did. So, well, El Chapo's going to go in and he's not coming out.
Right, exactly. So we'll be waiting for that. So you all be watching El Chapo, El Shorty, to see if he actually...
It's such an interesting story. Read that. How many times have I said read that article?
You say that
the Rolling Stone. It's really interesting because, and the thing is, most people are like, well, why should I care? He's about to come over here. It's...
But you know what? There was a movie that was similar to this in the past. I can't think of it, but there was a drug lord. He put out $1 million bounty for anybody who could break him out, and the whole movie was made about people trying to get him out. Yeah, so you might be seeing that happening here.
Yeah, you very well could.
So you know what? We're gonna go into our next topic. I think something that you were sharing and talking about earlier, and that was the story about the affluenza teen.
Yes, the problems of the rich and famous.
I mean, what was it that caught your eye concerning this story?
Exactly what I said. The problems of the rich and famous. Mm-hmm. So basically, the story. It's about this. What was his name? The kid.
His name is Ethan.
Yes. So Ethan Couch. Mm-hmm. He killed 4 people mm-hmm. in a drunk driving. Mm-hmm. He was drunk driving. Mm-hmm. And the judge sentenced him to, I think it was 10 years of probation. Right, okay. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. People were outraged about that. But one of the reasons he got that was because his lawyer coined this phrase, mm-hmm. The affluenza teen, which means he's...
First I thought he said influenza. I was like,
he's sick.
I
was like, he got the flu? I was like, what's the flu got to do with it? Right. Was he sneezing? Was he not feeling well when he... That's why he had to drink? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was the same way. Mm-hmm. I'm glad we figured that out because we're so smart.
But his lawyer, you say, can't.
Oh yeah, so basically, because mm-hmm. and what's the definition of an affluenza teen? Basically, you have so much money mm-hmm. that you don't know what you're doing. Like, you're not responsible for your actions because you have so much money.
Oh yeah.
And so if
That sound like Britney Spears or some of those other people.
It could have been. Yeah, it's really kind of all
what's
of that.
what's the other young lady who was once a Disney kid and now she's this.
Oh, Lindsay Lohan?
No, yeah, that one too, and the other one who's flying off of balls and singing and acting crazy.
Oh, Miley Cyrus.
Yeah,
Oh,
right.
I used to watch Hannah
So all them got
Montana.
affluenza.
Yeah, well, I don't.
The Kardashians got affluenza.
No, well, they're not doing anything. Well,
Yeah, they always doing something crazy.
but not in this sense.
Okay.
So this kid, like, murdered 4 people, is on probation. So then they decide not, and I'm sure the son has something to do with it, but the mother, is her name Tanya?
Yes,
Was like,
Tanya Couch.
okay, goes and takes $30,000 out of the bank, tells her husband, "You're never going to see us again," and they go to Mexico. Oh, Mexico's back in the picture again. How does Mexico get back in the
She's
picture?
trying to get over to Chapo.
I know, right? El Chapo,
probably trying to go down that same tunnel.
Probably trying to go.
That's how she got over there. That's why they couldn't catch her. He came this way and she went that way. hey.
It's so interesting. But I was reading an article that said, and of course I think it's ridiculous, and most people thought it was ridiculous, like, seriously, because you're rich, you can't make a decision, you don't know what responsibility is, you don't know right from wrong. And there were a couple of psychiatrists or psychologists that came out and said, well, you know what, there might be a little something to this.
So like crop circles. Yeah, right. Yeah, we got aliens coming out making crop circles, so surely there must be something about this affluenza. If you got too much money, then you don't know what you're doing.
That you don't know.
So everybody who's rich, nobody knows what they're doing.
Well, they didn't say everyone.
What? Just one? Just those who are rich and kill people. They don't know what they're doing.
Yes, basically,
right,
yes.
right.
Not, but not even all of them.
Right, that's an absolute truth.
So they were pulling out some research, and one of the research said that it showed that drug and alcohol use among the affluent teens is higher than among kids of the same age group in inner cities.
But that's only because they have access to it. They got money to get it. That's why.
Look, I didn't say it's
Right.
Whatever. I'm just
that's
saying
the truth of the matter.
That's what it is. And so they said the only difference, like even with crime or any of that, is just the type that they do. So so in well-off households, it tends to include, they say, widespread cheating or stealing from their peers, or stealing from parents, and things like that, because that's just kind of the nature of the crime.
So are we saying those who have affluenza or these who have this issue? Right? Okay.
I'm laughing because I'm like, what are you getting ready to say?
I was like, what you just described to me is that
I'm just telling you what the research said.
Right. The researchers who they seem to have affluenza themselves. But what you're saying is that these so-called psychologists, these doctors, of the human psyche, who need doctoring themselves, are saying that those who commit these kind of crimes, people with money, they steal from their parents, they steal from their other kids. Why are they even stealing when they have money?
And
What's
so
the problem?
it goes back. Well, it goes back to, and this is a point that they made. It goes back to the parenting, and I think this goes whether you have money, whether you don't have money, you're well off or not. But it goes back to the parenting, and so what they're saying with these kids is that the parents aren't. They have so much money that when the kids get in trouble, they have the money to go get the lawyer to make sure that they, keep a clean record. Or if something, happens, they can keep them really out of trouble. So basically, they have all this money that can,
wash away their sins.
Yes, basically wash away their sins, and they're not being punished, or there is no reprimand or anything for what they're doing. And because they have so much money, they are able, like you said, to do so much. They can go get, there's money to go get drugs or alcohol, or, for my 16th birthday, you remember that a Super Sweet 16, was it called Super Sweet 16 on MTV?
Yeah.
And it was like all the rich things, they would throw these huge,
parties,
like elaborate parties. They're getting like Bentleys, for their,
for me, I wouldn't even mind throwing my daughter a huge birthday party when she gets 16. We could just use New Year's night and use that as the big party. But why would you, at 16 years old, would you go out and buy all these things for your child, give them all of this these huge, humongous, things in life that people try, like you say, try to have to work for, and then you expect them to live and be a certain kind of way when you haven't allowed them the opportunity to grow in a society. Of course, we want to say grow normally, because people, who are worth millions of dollars, they don't live like everybody else does.
And I don't think they should have to completely live because there is privilege with, money. You know what I'm saying? When you have something, but you need to know how. Well,
what kind of privilege with money? We all go to the same bathroom.
You're able to do some things. For instance,
Right.
and I was kind of telling you this story. Warren Buffett. This is the perfect time to tell it. Warren Buffett's son, I think his name is Peter.
Peter, okay. Familiar with him?
He was saying how he didn't really know until he was 25. And for those of you who don't know who Warren Buffett is,
you better.
Yeah, you might want to. He's one of the richest
men in the world.
And so Peter was saying, I didn't even know how rich my dad was until I was 25. Because he said his father, in their household, it was you work for everything.
Right.
They instilled these certain values. You had to figure out there were values in that household. And so whatever they did, they had to work for it. So then when he got older, now of course he went to, I think I said Stanford.
Okay.
He dropped out of Stanford. He had what did I say it was?
What, a $90,000?
It was a $90,000
so maybe
stocks or something. I think it was in
stocks or
something. And he pulled it out because he wanted to, he wanted to be a music career, which obviously went nowhere.
Okay, here's where I go with that argument. I understand that learning certain disciplines, learning how to live accordingly, learning how to understand what to do in society, what not to do, what to do in society. But I think the whole premise, for us, of course, as we have children, is to grow them up, to make sure their lives are better than our lives, to give them, the best opportunities that we possibly can. But as a Warren Buffett, when you have more money than you can ever spend, anybody and everybody in your family, the whole premise is that your children can grow up and can take care of themselves and take care of themselves well. Well, they're already in a position where they can take care of themselves and take care of themselves pretty well. Are you really doing them justice by saying, okay, hey, here's all the money that you will ever need, but I need you to go and understand how to be a good person, so you can know what to do with this money? Are you really doing them due justice in that? Is that really helping them? Act like the money is not here. Go over there and learn how to be a good person.
No, but that's the point that I was making. There is privilege that comes with having that kind of money. He can go and pull $90,000 out of somewhere in order to go and fund a dream, drop out of Stanford.
But even if the money wasn't there, he still had it. The money has always been there for him, always.
Yeah, but here's the thing: whether the father, that would have been Warren, as we were talking about now, would have just given it to him, or said, "You need to do this, this, and this to earn it." You know what I'm saying? Because truth be told, and not a lot of maybe kids think this way. It would if I have money, that's to my kids. That's my money. You know what I'm saying?
Well, to me, that's not my money. That's your money, because I know I can't take that money with me. So if I'm not here, then that's your money.
Yeah, no, you will inherit that. But while I'm still alive, that's my money.
Well, even while I'm still alive, that's your money. Because I'm making you as a parent. But as a parent, when you have children, whatever you're gaining in your household, you're not gaining that for yourself. You're gaining that for your children.
Yes, you're gaining it for your children to help take care of them, to help give them an education, to let them, to give them opportunity so they can go out and make their own money or become responsible on their own. Now, of course, they're going to end up with that over in a trust fund, over in a whatever. But like, to finish the story about Peter, when he ended up losing that money, he said he would not take away that experience that he had in going out, the mistake that he made, he lost all the money and coming back, because it instilled something in him.
Yeah, it instilled in him that, hey, I can spend this money, and I know my dad still got $8.9 billion left. Yeah, that's what.
But it shows a value. He values money, and he's not throwing it away.
It's hard to understand the value at 90,000 when your dad is worth $8 billion? How can you understand value at when your dad is worth $8 billion?
Because he instilled that in. If you would listen to what I say,
I heard what you said.
He instilled that in his child. He didn't even know his father had that kind of money
And that's fine.
until he was 25. So that means his father instilled some value of working hard, earning whatever, and then probably whenever he figured it out, then he was like, oh, okay, but your mindset is different. It's not like the whole time he was like, here goes a bunch of money. I have money here. You can have this here. You can have that. You can do all this. But yeah, I'm sure he went home. They were living in a mansion. They had 5, 6, 8 cars.
You know, the optimum word you use was working hard. He tried to start a music business and start himself a music career. He wasn't working hard. He just went and tried to embellish a fad or something that he cherished and thought about wanting to do. He wasn't trying to go and start a business. He was trying to say, oh, you know what? I want to be. It's almost like I want to be a chef. It
wasn't like, oh, let me just find a way just to throw away some money. You can't tell me some people who want to be in the music industry, some people who want to be singers, dancers, lawyers, doctors, and all that they need is a little money. So I'm not trying to throw away saying that he just frivolously threw this money away.
I'm not saying that. I am saying that whatever money he had in his savings, I don't think or like you said, at 25 years old, he realized how much money his father was worth. So whatever he spent that money before 25 or right after 25, whatever the case may be, it made his decisions and whatever he did that much easier. If he had 90,000, spend his money and then say, oh, you know what, Dad doesn't have any more money. I'm broke. That's one thing. But if he had 90,000, say, you know what, if I spend this money on this venture, it doesn't work, I know I still got another $8 billion over here. That's what I'm saying.
Well, I'm thinking, and I don't know this to be true, but I'm gonna look it up. But I believe he was working, and so he just needed that lump sum.
Now I do remember. I think that Warren Buffett said that his kids would not get a certain amount of inheritance from him. No, they wouldn't. All the money wouldn't go to them. And I can't remember. I'm trying to remember if it was Warren Buffett or Bill Gates, but I know one of them said that their kids would not inherit, a majority of their wealth. A majority of wealth they would be given away.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying that I understand your argument, your point, but again, for me, the absolute truth of the matter is that if your parents are worth a certain amount of money, no matter how much money you have, it makes your decision again that much easier. It makes your opportunities to do things like you said before you.
And that's the privilege.
Right, that's
of
the privilege you
money.
have. Right,
that's the privilege
but
of having money.
I don't think it says that if my parents are worth $8 to $20 billion and I have 100,000, I am so glad that I held on to this, or I learned the value of 100,000. You cannot learn the value of $100,000.
I'm telling you what Peter said.
I'm telling you what Peter. Hey, I'm telling you what Peter's not saying. I'm telling you what Peter's not. Peter is not saying that I understand 90,000 because my father's worth $8 billion. You don't understand 90,000 when your parents are worth $8 billion.
He does understand 90,000.
No. You know what? We'll be right back. We want to hear from you all out here tonight about this situation. 404-878-0040. It's the absolute truth. We'll be right back. This is a very heated discussion about affluenza, how much, we operate, what we do when we have a certain amount of money, how we behave when we are economically challenged and when we're not economically challenged. I mean, again, we just like to hear from you all. I mean, I don't know how many people out there won the lottery or tried to play the lottery. Probably nobody won the lottery because the money's still going up.
It's like 1.4
billion.
billion.
So basically, if you do win, like most
700 million.
Yeah, and then most people take the lump sum with 700 million. Then by the time, we have a caller. 1 second. Go ahead, caller. This is the absolute truth.
Good evening. This is Jessica, and I just wanted to give you a call and say that I'm definitely enjoying your show. And I want to make a comment on the fact that I agree that parents definitely need to instill values of hard work within their children, and that they need to earn whatever they get, especially while they're young. And that way, when they grow up, they understand what it means and what it's going to take to live. And then also what it took for that father to earn a living and to make the kind of money that he made. They will never know the value of hard work if it's not instilled in them as a young child. But I also think at the same time, once the values are instilled in the children, that it's great that the father has made that amount of money that they can give the kids a push in life, whereas if they didn't have that money, not just wait until the parent dies to receive an inheritance, but be able to help them get that business off the ground and become successful.
Okay, well,
yes, thank you, Jessica. Yes.
With Jessica, here's my point. All right, here's my point. Jessica, let's just say that, you have, like Warren Buffett, you're worth $8 billion. At the end of the day, you have kids, all right, 4, 5, 10 kids. It doesn't matter how many you got. You may have a whole busload of them. But the whole premise as a father and a mother is to raise your children up, of course, give them good values, as you mentioned, and to make things life easier for them. Why would you, worth that type of money, take your kids to this rigorous program?
It's not a rigorous program.
Okay, well, let me say this. Why would you take your children through this program about teaching them how to make money, how to live, when the money's already there? If nothing else, we want to give our children the best life that we can give them. So why not say, hey, you know what? Hey, what is it that you want to do? Hey, we're going to set some things aside for you, make the best of it, do the best that you can with it. But I don't want my children to have to grow up and toil and, and have to do certain things that they necessarily don't have to do. I mean,
nobody said that they were going to have to be out digging up dirt and
not digging up dirt or digging up shrubberies, but I'm saying
they don't have to work at McDonald's.
Not even work at McDonald's, but why put them in an environment where they're in an environment where people who don't like them, they got to deal with this work issues. Why do I have to do all that for them to learn how to realize that their dreams are already in front of them? Why do that? Tell me, Jessica.
Because you don't want them to grow up feeling like they're entitled to everything.
That's right.
They don't have to respect people, and they end up like this affluenza teenagers.
Well,
That's right.
Again, it's not so much that they're gonna feel like they're entitled. Again, as parents, that's what we want to instill in them. But I don't have to take them through the rigor of work of a 40-hour week or a 60-hour week for them to learn that.
But if that's the world that they're going to end up in when they go out into the world, that's what they are going to experience.
But they're not going to end up in that world because they have the means not to be in that world. That's
you don't know that. You don't know that.
I'm making that $8 billion available for them.
Okay, well, your rich children then
Mm-hmm.
will not be amongst the rest of the world.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
And you want them to be relatable. They're going to end up like a Donald
Jessica,
Trump.
thank you for calling us tonight, all right? And stay tuned.
Yeah, they're going to end up like a Donald Trump or whatever who can't relate to like anyone. They want to kick everybody out of the country.
What do you mean Donald Trump?
Donald Trump can't relate to us.
Well, we're not talking about Donald Trump tonight, but we can talk about Donald Trump.
We're talking about people with money.
Well, why you say Donald Trump?
He's got tons of money.
Donald Trump came to Georgia in between maybe 82, 83, and say one farm here. They started a farm.
Mm-hmm.
The banks were closing farms in Georgia, and he came and helped one of the ladies out here in Georgia to save her farm, and it actually started a certain.
So who taught him his value of
His
money
father.
and what to do.
His father.
Exactly.
Right, his father did. But I'm saying he can still relate, even though he may have a certain amount of money. I don't think that he can't relate. He just rather not. Well, whether we're driving one car, he's driving 3 cars. Whether we are getting on Delta, he's flying on his private jet.
And
that doesn't
that's the privilege of money.
Right, but that doesn't mean he can't relate. He's trying to relate now. That's why he's trying to run for president, because he wants the country to be different or back to where it used to be. But I don't think that giving our children an opportunity to do well without having to take them to a 40 and 60-hour work week because we have money is the wrong thing to do.
Well, I'm not saying it's the wrong thing to do, but if you're going to do that, if you're just going to hand them your money, their money, however you want to view it, you still need to, as Jessica was saying, you still need to instill in them.
What, core values, good values?
Yes, exactly.
I'm not saying that you don't do that.
And
but
that's all we're saying.
Right, okay.
That's all we're saying.
I'm not saying not to do that, but I think the picture that you all seem to be trying to paint was that, we had to teach them this way by making sure that they get out here into this work environment and learn things here.
And the thing is, you can teach them, and they don't have to be in a work environment. If you have a company, they could come into your work environment, or it could just be some things that they're doing around the house. You have chores. I know plenty of kids whose parents, their kids don't have chores. It's come in and do your homework. No, I'm gonna need you to go wash the dishes. I'm gonna need you to make your bed. I'm gonna need you to take out the trash, and I'm gonna need you to do your homework. That type of thing. Things like that. So you don't have to end up being in an 80-hour, 40-hour work week or whatever to instill certain values.
Right. Okay. And that's fine.
And then that's all I'm saying. So we don't have to catapult them off into
the world of travail and tribulation. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So that being said, you got this teen, the affluenza teen. Now, I think, of course, my issue more so with that is that the mother, and her, she done bumped her head. She's the one seemed to be affluenza.
Yeah, she's
with influenza.
And this is what we're saying. Like, what do your parents do? She's feeding that.
But have they not tried to say that she might not be fit to stand trial because she may not be mentally capable? Have you seen that? Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're actually trying to say she's retarded.
Well, and that's her lawyer that said that the son had influenza.
Right, and that's what I'm saying. See, that come from the influenza. That come from money. Now,
well, this is the money, and you get a lawyer that knows how to do all
crazy.
that. Yes.
See,
that's a defense. You don't know that?
That's
something we know. Yeah, that you're crazy. Like, you can't stand trial. You know that. Because everyone does that, yeah.
If that's the case, everybody's crazy. Well, we're already talking about changing the law for the gun laws for people who may be crazy. So nobody be able to carry guns now, because everybody going to be crazy if you don't want to go to jail. You get a speed ticket, just tell the man you're crazy. How about that? But right now for her, I think she's getting ready to. I think she's getting ready to come up for trial. I think it might have been today. Well, they said that they had a bond for her, $1 million. But I think they were trying to reduce the bond, of her. Of course, he is still in Mexico.
Yeah, they're trying to extradite.
Well, he's still talking to El Chapo. They're in the same cell. So
I know it's like Mexico and
something. And let me ask you something. As a mother,
this is the theme for tonight.
Well, let me ask you this: if you were a mother, how far would you go for your children? Would you do that for your kids?
I don't know. I can't. I don't have any. I don't know, because I don't know that feeling of having a child and whether I would do anything.
You ever had an animal? What about you had an animal before, right?
I've had an animal, but it wasn't sleeping in the bed with me. I wasn't that close to it. It's like an animal. You stay outside, type thing,
But we
I fed it.
Yeah, well, you fed it. I'm saying you had some concern for that animal, and if you had a child, you would have some concern for your child. But even though not having any kids, how far do you think you would go for your children?
I just answered the question. I have no idea. I don't know that I would go forever. I could sit here and say, I wouldn't do that, but I might smuggle my child out of the country. I have no idea.
I remember one time when I was very young, I got into some trouble, and
not surprised.
Of course, you should be surprised. And I wound up having to go to jail one evening, and my dad came and got me. Yeah, he came and got me. It wasn't an El Chapo. It was an El Dado, because he had to come get me. But he told me, I'll never forget. He told me, he said, "I'll get you out one time and one time only," and that was your one time. I never forgot that. I ain't been back since.
Except when you were going to help the people.
Except when I was going to help the people. That's right. Your dad never told you that?
I've never no.
Every parent
I've never been in trouble.
Never been in trouble? Mm-mm. Never got pulled over for a speeding ticket?
I got a speeding ticket.
You didn't think you was going to jail?
No.
Well, just act like you're crazy next time.
I'm not going to jail. It's a speeding ticket. Everybody gets speeding tickets.
Never even been close to a jail?
I mean, I drive by one.
Oh, that's somebody.
The one on the corner.
You ever had any friends who went to jail and called you from jail?
Nobody has called me from jail, but
Well,
I do know some people that have gone to jail. But for things like, drunken.
For things like,
Yeah,
well,
for
jail,
thi-
jail.
for things like-
I mean, what's still a certain scale for jail? Well, he went this because he wanted to see what it's like.
Anyway, well, we're gonna have to close out, because it's
It's
time.
not a You know what? Thank you all for joining us tonight. This is
Thanks.
the Absolute Truth Radio Show. Y'all have a great night.
We'll see you next week.